How to add sequential numbers to an Excel sheet. Sequential numbers are a set of numbers that increment by 1. A good example of a sequential number is, of course, the serial number, which is used to number records or number of rows in a data set. There are a lot of uses for this. In Excel, we can automatically generate the sequence of numbers. There are various ways of doing this. We will look at 4 ways of generating sequential numbers. The quickest and easiest way is to use the fill handle. So for this, I just need to establish the sequence of numbers by typing the first 2. Having done that, I select the cells, then use the fill handle at the bottom corner of the range I've selected and drag it down. You can see that the numbers are incrementing as I drag this down, and when I reach 10, I release and I've got the numbers populated here. So this is the first way of doing it. I'm going to delete this to show you the next way. The next way is to use the fill menu option. To do that, again, I type the starting number, which in this case is 1. I'm going to select the whole column. On the home menu, I go to the fill option and select series. So here I want the series in the columns. I want it to be linear and the step value to be 1. Now, since I've already selected the whole column, I don't need to define the stop value. But if I hadn't, I would give the stop value as 10. I now say OK, and the list is automatically populated. So I'm going to delete this again, and we look at the third option, which is to use the row function. The row function takes a cell reference as an argument and returns the row number of that cell. Now, if you don't, the cell reference is optional. If you don't give a cell reference, it will return the number of the row it is in. So let's see how to use this. I've selected the first cell, type equals, say row. And if I leave it blank and press enter, it's going to return the row number 2 because this is the second row in the sheet. That's not what I want. So I want it to give me the number 1. So then I select a cell in the first row and click enter. And now I've got 1 displayed here. If I drag this down, automatically it is returning the row number of the row above it. So I get the serial numbers here. Now again, I'll delete this and we'll look at the last option, which is to use the sequence function. The sequence function generates a sequence or a matrix of numbers depending on your rows, number of rows and columns, and your start number and the step. So let's take a look at that. Type sequence. Now first I have to give the number of rows. In this case, there are 10 rows. Number of columns is 1 because I want all the numbers populated in this column. I want it to start at 1 and I want the increment to be 1. So then I close brackets. Now I've defined the parameters and press enter and I get my sequence of numbers. So the examples that I've shown here are on a very small data set. So depending on the size of your data set and the kind of numbers you want populated, you can decide which method to use to generate sequential numbers. This is how you can create a list of sequential numbers. Please read the appended article for more information.